Let me offer a disclaimer. This head notes is just part of a peer study group. Put some earrings on. I'm sorry. I can favor somebody. It's not for any money, anything like that. I'm not trying to violate any copyrights, infringements. These are not my words. I'm just reading notes, and it's just like a study tool. So, um, okay, it says start right here. Study respiration as a breathing or ventilation, which is the movement of air into inspiration, and out of lungs, which is expiration. All right, the entire respiratory anatomy is located in the head, neck, and thorax. Anatomy in the head and neck is the upper respiratory tract. The anatomy from the trachea through the lungs is the lower respiratory tract, nasal cavity. A septum divides the nasal cavity into right and left nostrils. Okay, the ethmoid bone superiority, the vomer inferiority, and a septal cartilage anteriously form the septum. The anterior part, the vestibular, is lined with stratified squamous epithelial tissue with stiff guard hairs to block debris from entering the respiratory tract. Nasal cavity under widens to the vestibule to make room for three bony lateral ridges called the nasal conchae. Ethmoid bone forms the superior of the middle nasal conchae, while inferior nasal conchae is a separate bone. The portion is lined by mucous membranes that trap debris and warm and moisturize the incoming air. The nasal conchae provides extra surface area for the mucous membrane to function. The mucous membranes are composed of elated pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue. The atria move mucus and any trapped debris posteriorly so that it can be outside olfactory neurons located in the midst of the posterior nasal cavity, providing with odors and a sense of smell. Nasal cavity into the nose. From there, it gives to pharynx, to the larynx, and to the trachea, to the bronchi, where it all enters the lungs, to the bronchial tree, and finally to the alveoli type. At right, the alveoli, the second part of respiration, is exchange of gases. Is where it takes place. Okay, respiratory distress system, the lung condition that results in a lack of oxygen in the blood. Okay, gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from blood to the lungs. This happens in the lungs, alveoli, and capillaries. Partial process of oxygen. When oxygen from alveoli enters the posterior, the parietal pressure capillary. Okay, it says partial presence of oxygen when oxygen in the alveoli is captured by PO2. The effects of aging in respiratory system, brain and spinal cord lose nerve cells and weight atrophy. Nerve cells begin to pass messy or more steady. Waste product collection in the brain. effects of any on the respiratory cycle. Respiratory muscle strength decreases with age and can impair effective cough. Muscles may lose their ability to keep airways completely open. Diagnostic tests to determine the amount of oxygenated hemoglobin in blood using infrared light is pulse oximetry. Okay. The cardiac cycle, it is a sequence of contraction and relaxation of the heart chambers during a single heartbeat. The contractions of the heart is called systole, and relaxation of the chambers is diastole. The cycle begins with both the atria and ventricles in diastole. Both atrioventricular valves are open, while pulmonary and aortic semilunar valves are closed. Blood flows into the right atrium through the pulmonary vein. Blood flows from the lungs into the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. Then blood flows from both atria into the ventricular through the open atrioventricular valves. During aerial systole, or that's by STOLE, the atria contract to force any remaining atrial blood into the ventricles. The ventricles are still in diastole, allowing them to expand and completely fill with blood. During ventricular systole, the ventricles contract. The atrioventricular valves closes, preventing backflow or regurgitation of blood into the aorta. The pulmonary semilunar valve opens and the right ventricle expels blood into the pulmonary arteries and the lungs. Exclusive, the aortic sometimes valve, semilunar valve opens and the left ventricle expels blood into the aorta and the rest of the body. After ventricular systole, the cardiac cycle begins again, as both the atrial and ventricles enter diastole to allow the blood of the heart to allow the heart to fill with blood. Normally, this cycle repeats 60 to 100 times. Okay, we're gonna stop right there.